Well, hello and welcome to day 31 of the Strategic Leadership Mastery Series. This is Danette Moss, Business Systems and Implementation Strategist, aka the Strategy Lady. And I'm excited to come back in yet again for day 31 and provide you all with this information as promised that I would. We had a little, it looks like the system that I was using had a malfunction for 2 days, and we didn't realize it was only providing you all with the first minute and 3 seconds or 30 seconds. So I said, heck, I'll bite the bullet. Let me just come on back out and go ahead and stream live. I want to make sure that this is going out and that it is live for everyone to see it. So I'm just actually checking all of the platforms, whether you are joining me over on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, just taking a peek. Because let me tell you, we put a lot of planning into this. So when these systems have uh-ohs, it just really just takes us for a loop. And I want to just make sure that we have this information out here and that it's streaming to give you all what it is that you need. Again, my name is Danette Moss, Business Systems and Implementation Strategist, aka the Strategy Lady. And I hang out over at one of my favorite places called Let's Talk Strategies. When I say home of the SaaS factor, where I work with those 6 and 7 figure female CEOs, I work with them to go from overwhelmed in their business to putting it on rinse and repeat. And I do this using one of my favorite frameworks that God gave me created, which is SaaS. SaaS stands for simplifying, automating, systematizing, and streamlining your business. And I'm going here again yet to make sure that everything is streaming because we don't want to have to keep going back and forth through this. And we're just trying to see what's going on here because it doesn't look like it's coming across. Huh. I tell you, I won't be defeated. Won't be defeated. As promised, I'll be coming out for 61 days, whether it is live streaming or whether you all are actually going to get a recording. So, again, this is Danette Moss, Business Systems and Implementation Strategies. I do see that we are live over on Let's Talk Strategies on Facebook, just trying to make sure that we are connected via LinkedIn as well. I had to come up and use one of my other software. So it looks like we are there. So I'm glad. I'm excited. So we want to move on with day 31. And that topic literally is all about efficiency unleashed, crafting workflows that work for consultants and service providers. Again, this is day 31 of the Strategic Leadership Mastery Series. I am Danette Moss, Business Systems and Implementation Strategist, aka the Strategy Lady, over at LetsTalkStrategies.com, where I work with those female CEOs to literally, y'all, go from strategy to implementation. And I do this on a consistent day-to-day basis because I used to be her and I know what it feels like to be all over the place and to be overwhelmed. I want to go ahead and jump into our topic of discussion because I had to come back out, almost 3 hours later when we realized that the system was doing what it was doing. But we're going to give you this information. So welcome to a transformative session, Efficiency Unleashed, crafting workflows that work. I'm excited again to be here, whether you are a consultant or a service provider that's looking to do what? Boost her productivity. And I like to say boost her productivity through automations, because we're going to talk about that a bit today. Today, we're going to dive a little into the world of workflows. But now, Before we get into workflows, I want to talk a bit about understanding or grasping this thing called business processes. Okay. To me, in the definition that I found and that I lend to and lean on, a business process is the structured activities aimed to what? Achieve specific business goals. They involve various teams, or if you don't have a team, it involves you as the individual person that's going to be the team member of all these other different departments, right, inside of your business. And all of these things come together systematically. Think of them as the steps to your business or organization takes that it takes for you to either deliver a product or a service, your business processes. I truly believe you need to have clarity and understanding of what business processes are before you can effectively create workflows. That's just my belief. And this is why I decided before I dive into workflows that we needed to discuss or have understanding and clarity of business processes, right? So these are structured activities aimed at achieving specific business goals. And again, they can involve team members, they can be you just as an individual, and it just helps everything work together systematically. Now, since I provided you somewhat of a short definition of what business processes are, let's talk about, or let me provide you with a definition of workflows, because that's where we get knee deep into automations. Now, workflows are literally just a sequence of interconnected steps of your task, right? That represent specific processes or your business activities. That's all it really is, really, in a nutshell. These steps are designed to help you achieve that defined outcome. Workflows are commonly used to do what, y'all? Streamline, and here's that word, automate those repetitive and routine processes within your business, within your organization. Workflows provide that structured framework for managing your task, anything that needs to be approved, and to keep that flow of information set up in what I consider a systematic and more of an efficient manner. That's, in my opinion, all that a workflow really, really, truly is. Now, I want to share some key characteristics of workflows. There's 5 of them that I want to share with you all. And I need you to keep this in mind as you explore the importance of workflows or as you get ready to actually craft out your workflow. The first characteristic is sequential steps. Workflows, they flow specifically in a step-by-step order, right? Each step is dependent on the previous one. That's the first characteristic. The second characteristic is automations. The task can be automated based on what? Predefined conditions. What is the end goal in mind? What is the condition, right? So the first key characteristic was sequential steps. The second one is automations. Now, the third characteristics of the 5 that I'm sharing with you as it pertains to workflow characteristics is roles and responsibility. You know, we assign specific roles to individual people or our team members, right? And sometimes it happens at different stages. So inside of the characteristics of a workflow, you definitely need to make sure you got clarity on the roles and responsibility because they got to roll out just at the right time. If you have something else in front of something that needs to be behind it, now you got issues. Now, a characteristic number 4 is decision points. So conditions that determine the workflow's path. What is the path? What is the steps? And then, of course, another characteristic of workflow, which is the 5th characteristic, is notifications and communications. I love that one. It's a mechanism that keeps everyone informed about the said task, whatever it is that you're doing in the business for the day, for the week, for the month, whatever it is. It keeps everyone on the same page. Now, I like to think that we also need to make sure that we define or understand our objectives of the workflow, because that's critical. You know, the biggest objective is that it needs to align with your business goals. I've seen workflows because everyone is talking about it. We need to create workflows. We need to automate our business. But I've gone into systems where I've helped and assisted people, and I've seen that they have automation, but they've automated chaos. And the chaos that they're automating is simply one thing and one thing only. They have things in place, but it doesn't align with their business goals. So now they're still frustrated and irritated, and things are not flowing well. So as you craft out your workflow, understanding your business processes, you need to also make sure that they align with your business goals. Extremely important. Now, I want to give you some examples here very quickly, because we can't stay out here long today, y'all. I've had a day, like I said, went live at 6 o'clock and had issues with the system. So I want to give you some quick examples, and then we'll break it down more like practical examples of workflows. And I want to use, since I'm speaking to the business consultant, the female CEO consultant or coach or service provider, I want to talk from a space of a customer onboarding workflow. Okay. Because the customer onboarding workflow does what? It guides the process of bringing that new customer on board from the account creation to the initial interaction. So each and every single step, right? Now, let's talk about a practical example of what that looks like. We're going to dive into an example of a client onboarding workflow. Now, you've got this new client. I'll use me as an example. You're signing up for a VIP day, or you're signing up for to go for one of my programs where you go from strategy to implementation. The first thing that needs to be inside of that client onboarding workflow is the agreement. You want them to sign off on that agreement or that contract, right? So what do you think you need to do with it? Inside that agreement, you need to have it set up for it to automatically be sent to the customer. But here's a key thing: even as you make sure that it goes out to them automatically, you need to have some sort of way for them to sign, whether you're using DocuSign, whether you're using digital CEO systems. That is an important element to have inside of your client onboarding workflow. We're speaking about practical examples of this client onboarding workflow because all of us as coaches, consultants, or service providers, at some point, people are there signing off on something. And that first thing that you need to have inside of the client onboarding workflow is that agreement. What did you all agree to? What are they signing off on? Signing that contract. Make sure you get a signature. People love to do chargebacks. And the one thing that causes you to lose inside of it is them not having a signature on that contract, right? You also need to make sure that you have inside of a client onboarding workflow. I'm giving you all an example of a workflow. What about a welcome package? Definitely need to have that welcome package inside of that onboarding workflow. So create some sort of automated system for that welcome package agreement, to go to that customer. Make sure that it includes the essential pieces of the puzzle, the essential information that they need, the resources, the next steps, where you're going to be meeting if this is a coaching type situation. What platform? Is it Zoom? Is it Google Meets? Is it inside of digital CEO systems where they can come into a membership site where they have to enter via a password? Make sure inside of that welcome package that you provide them with that information. It's needed. And I can tell you, I've experienced it over and over again where I've paid for something and some serious money for some things. And then I sit back and I'm looking and waiting on login information. I'm waiting for people to give me the information that I need so that I can participate. Now I'm antsy because I don't have it, because they didn't have a workflow. They didn't have automation processes and things set up to automatically give me that information that I needed, which made the situation feel a little awkward. Okay. So make sure inside of that client onboarding workflow that you have your welcome package, all the information, that client agreement, the essential information that's needed in order for it to move with ease, any necessary resources, the time, the date, if it's password oriented, the link to where they're going to connect and get involved. It shouldn't have to be that somebody's having to slide into your DMs for them to get that information because you didn't get it out to them. Now, also inside of a client onboarding workflow, you want to make sure that you have the your initial consultation scheduled, right? Because now they're a client, they're in there, they've signed that agreement, you've given them the welcome package. Go ahead and put forth the effort and implement some type of online scheduling system if you don't have it. You want them to have a way to say, okay, we're going to meet because, inside of they're your client now. You've set it up where, they've got one or two private coaching sessions a month, even if you're doing it as a group setting, but you still may want to meet people individually. Make sure that you have some type of online scheduling system implemented, that you have it integrated into your business model so they can easily do it, thus leaving you or freeing you up from having to manually schedule them in. Because when you start doing that manual scheduling, you mess around and now you're overbooking people. So that is definitely a need, a step that's needed inside of your client onboarding workflow, the initial consultation scheduling. Set up also automated reminders, right? And when you set them up, this helps, I guess, alleviate that or minimize the no-shows, because no-shows do happen, right? But if you set up reminders, okay, your appointment is, it's 24 hours from this time. And then another reminder goes out 8 hours. Another reminder goes out, 4 hours. Another reminder can go out an hour or 30 minutes or 15 minutes. And, so that way, they are there. Inside of my reminders, I also give them a way to reschedule if they need to, but I do have supportive documentation in there, kind of reminding them of, if you've got to reschedule, let us know at least 24 hours in advance, if at all possible. I know sometimes life is lifing, but if at all possible, let me know, because somebody else could have had that opportunity, right? If it's an individual type of situation as opposed to a group type setting. Now, another item that you should consider putting inside of your client onboarding workflow should be ways that you could have some sort of not customer support, but yeah, you can have that too, because we have like those people have bots or they have help desk type things. You need to have that kind of stuff too, because there's issues where people can't log in. Take a systematic approach. Think about all the things that you're going to need or possible things that may happen that could cause situations to derail. Get in front of it. Help desk, customer support, email ways, phone numbers if at all possible, a way for them to text you if at all possible, so that you can have those lines of communications there in the onboarding process, allowing them to move with ease, and also consistently building that know, like, and trust factor that you hear us talking about. I mean, it's needed. It really, truly is needed. Now, I want to give you some practical tips for creating your client onboarding workflow. But before I do that, I want to introduce you to an opportunity to connect with other female CEOs. Other female CEOs that are just like you. They are consultants, coaches, and service providers. They are female CEOs that desire a point of accountability. They like to hang around other women that are shaking and baking and making some things happen. They want to hang around other sassy female CEOs. And I want to introduce you to one of my favorite new platforms or actual membership areas that you can join us in right now for free, which is the Get Your Sass On community. The Get Your Sass On community is hosted over on Facebook. And the way that you can become a member and be a part of that is by going to GYSO community community.letstalkstrategies.com. Again, that's GYSO community.letstalkstrategies.com. We'd love to have you over there where we can continue this conversation. I'd like to also give you the opportunity or state and advise you that if you had any questions about what we're talking about, this topic here today of efficiency unleashed, crafting workflows that work for consultants and service providers, feel free to leave your comments or ask your questions right here up under this live stream. Or if you're that type of woman that doesn't want to do it there, join us over in the Get Your Sass On community. We'd love to have you over there. Get connected with other women, network with other women, and get some of the questions that you may have answered. Right? Let's go ahead and let's move on over to our practical tips that I believe you should consider as you begin to craft out your workflow or your client onboarding workflow. I want you to consider these practical tips. I'm all about practical tips. I don't like to get you all fluffy. I want you to be able to utilize things that you can implement effective immediately in your business and begin to see growth. The first practical tip as you begin to craft out your workflow is to personalize your communications. Make automated communications personal. Attach a name to it. Please don't send out an email that says, hello, comma. Let us say, hello, Danette, right? Let them feel that they matter and they're not just a number, okay? Personalize your communications. The next one, which is practical tip number 2, is efficient communications. Now, you want to know how that can be done? Listen, use automated reminders. This is going to improve your efficiency. It really is. There's nothing like things just flowing for you instead of you having to jump in and manually do something every 5 seconds. I promise you, if you're manually doing this, you're going to miss the ball. You're going to miss the beat. Something is going to get dropped. And it's going to be frustrating for you as well as your client or your customer, whatever it is you decide to call them. Another practical tip is to make sure that you have clear instructions. That's a no-brainer to me. Why? Because it ensures that things are going to go the right way. It ensures that if you add your instructions inside of a automated workflow, it will just kind of, I guess for lack of better words, it'll just ease the fact that anybody would have to, it'll alleviate people having a guess. It'll take the guesswork out of whatever it is that they're doing, right? So make sure you got clear instructions, clear and concise to avoid confusion. Now, I like to have in my workflow what we call feedback loops. I've been talking about that these last couple days, or weeks now, because we're on day 31. Feedback loops are important, right? Because you position yourself for them to be able to continuously give you information. This is how you know things are flowing the right way, right? Make sure they're within the workflow. You need to. It sets you up to be able to, or positions you to be able to continuously improve how your system is flowing, how the program is flowing. The communications is there, giving them an avenue to be able to communicate with you, to share the pros and to share the cons, right? Because we're going to have some. Don't trip out over them. Be happy that they're giving them to you. So that way you can go ahead and you can fix them for the next thing, right? Also, make sure that you regularly review and update your client onboarding workflow. It needs to you need to have some wiggle room, right? So you can adapt to the changes in this business, industry and in the rapidly changing stuff that we deal with on a consistent day-to-day basis. You need to look at it, regularly update it. It's like a SOP. The SOP, you set it. Sometimes people say you just set it and leave it, but sometimes you have to go in and make some necessary changes. So that practical tip is to regularly check out the workflow and update it accordingly. Now, also make sure that that workflow has ways that people or your particular um, team members and even your clients, that inside of the workflow, that you guide them with a step-by-step um, guidance or direction on how to use said services, right? Training. So if I'm giving my virtual assistant this particular project, I may do a Loom video along with a step-by-step approach of the things that they need to do. So any type of training resources that you can provide to the client as well as your team members, that's going to really, really help you out in the long run. I mean, it's golden. It takes it away that guesswork. It alleviates frustration from you, the female CEO, the owner of the business, and it definitely alleviates the frustration of the from the client perspective as well as your team players. So we need to make sure that we have training resources in there as well. This is all inside of a client onboarding workflow. Now, also make sure that inside of that workflow that you include some sort of automated client feedback survey. This is going to help you gather insights again for continuous improvement. Slightly different from feedback loops, but you want to have some type of survey as well. You can do the survey at the end of the program. You can even survey them if you're doing things live with them and ask questions. That way you get the feedback that you need that'll allow you to make the necessary adjustments. Now, what about emergency protocols? Had you thought about putting those inside your workflow? I've had to. Today we had an emergency situation. We went live at 6 o'clock, right? You all only got 1 minute and 30 seconds of that. I don't know what's going on with the old Melon app that I've been using for years. All of a sudden, it just started doing something crazy. I had to revert back to StreamYard, right? Develop some type or outline some type of system that you can use that will help you handle those unexpected emergencies that come up, right? Especially during your onboarding process, right? For me, if you're coming into a program or we've got the six-figure female CEO program and we're already live and the other women are inside the program, I generally will have my admin sitting kind of outside for those people that can't get into the system. They're having a hard time logging in. All of those things that do happen that will allow me to still be able to operate with ease, right? With with the people that are already there, but also to have somebody else being able to take care of the ones who's having the issue. So try to remember to put those emergency protocols in place that will allow you to kind of move with ease throughout your client onboarding process, especially, in those beginning phases. That's going to be extremely important. Now, if you're just now joining me, I do see that we have some people joining me here. If you're just now joining me, my name is Danette Moss, Business Systems and Implementation Strategist, aka the Strategy Lady, over at LetsTalkStrategies.com, where I work with those overwhelmed 6 to 7 figure female CEOs. Y'all, I work with them to go from overwhelming their business to putting this business on rinse and repeat. The end result is I work with you to go from strategy to implementation. It's all about taking action. Today, we are speaking on the topic of efficiency unleashed, crafting workflows that work for consultants and service providers. Those are the women that I work with. We're here late today because we stream live at 6 p.m., but for whatever strange reason, the software only allowed you all to see 1 minute and 30 seconds. And because I'm a woman of my word, I wanted to make sure that we came in and give you the good, to give you the information for day 31 of the 61 days that I'll be hanging out with you all. Now, I've got two more practical tips that I'd like to share with you, and that is make sure that you choose tools or platforms that allow seamless integration, right? So that your workflows can flow efficiently. Sometimes you have certain platforms, you've got You got ClickFunnels, you got digital CEO systems, you got Kartra, you got Dubsado, you got all these different platforms. But you need to make sure when you as you begin to add tools together that it can be kind of that they flow well, right? That you can integrate them relatively easy, right? I know a lot of people use what is that, a Zapier to pull different things together. And I don't mind zapping, but we need to make sure that it's with a flow, that it's easy for you because we don't want you to get frustrated as a successful consultant, coach, or service provider as you go through this. So make sure that whatever system you use, that the integration capabilities move smoothly. Don't sign up for something that's going to frustrate you. I remember when I first got in this game years ago, I was using what was that Infusionsoft or trying to use it, and I'm pretty technical. That thing was running me crazy. It's now Keep, they call it now, and I understand it's a lot more easier. But make sure that you have a system that you can flow with that works best for you. I choose, or my favorite systems are more or less the all-in-one softwares. I mean, I've done all of them. ClickFunnels, Kartra, Teachable. I've used them all. But now I've partnered with Go High Level, and I've created digital CEO systems, an all-in-one platform that not only allows me to assist my clients, but it allows me to move with ease in my business. It allows me, it gives me that CRM in one spot. It gives me a way to create and design unlimited landing pages, right? I mean, I have a way to deal with my social media. I have a way to communicate with my team players. That one spot instead of me being all over the place. I can invoice. I don't have to go to Dubsado outside of it. Some people like to have all of that stuff all over the place. And then a lot of people can't deal with it. It's chaotic to them. So I choose the all in one software for me, and I choose a system that can allow me to integrate other things and pull them inside of my system, which allows me to move seamlessly. So that's another practical tip for you. And last but not least, the last practical tip as it pertains to you creating a client onboarding workflow. That's the example that I'm providing you all with this evening, and that is scalability. Okay. Ensure that your client onboarding workflow is scalable. It needs to be scalable. It needs to be able to accommodate your growth, right? Because I'm only speaking that to the fact that you're growing. I say successful female CEOs. So that workflow needs to be scalable. It doesn't need to have that stopping point where you can't have wiggle room to move, right? This is, you know, and just accommodate growth, right? You need to be able to increase as your business grows. Now, I don't encourage that workflows need to be too crowded. I generally will have like maybe 7 to 10 steps inside of my workflow. And if I need to add more, that workflow won't necessarily end. I will have an ending point in this workflow and have you flow into the next workflow. That way, it's not chaotic for me. It's not chaotic for my team players that are actually there assisting me. And it's not chaotic to the clients that you're serving. Well, all right, y'all. It's getting kind of late. I had to come back out since things did not flow the way that they needed to flow when we went live earlier, and you only got a minute and 30 seconds. I generally will come out and provide you with at least 30 minutes of what I call the good information. Our topic today of discussion was all about it's day 31 of the Strategic Leadership Mastery Series, and it's Efficiency Unleashed, crafting workflows that work for consultants and service providers. I provided you a definition, so please make sure that you go back and listen to it. I gave you a definition, in my opinion, of what business processes are, because it's my belief that before you can even craft or create a workflow, whether it is a client onboarding workflow, whether it's a financial workflow, whether it's for your products and services workflow, follow-up workflow, whatever it is, you need to have clarity and understanding of business processes. So please make sure you go back, listen in to my definition and my understanding of what business processes are. I also provided you understanding and clarity and a definition of what I believe workflows are. I also provided key characteristics of workflows, and that is sequential steps, automations, roles and responsibilities, decision points, and notification and communication. So please make sure that you go back and listen to that. When you listen to it, remember to have that sheet of paper, a pen, and a pencil, because we also went back through providing you with those practical examples of what a client onboarding workflow looks like from a perspective of a coach, consultant, or service provider. And inside of there, I outlined some of the things that I believe you should have inside of that workflow. And I believe it was one, two, three. Oh, I didn't even have five in there. I talked about client agreement, how it should be automated so that the client can get that agreement, aka the contract, along with signing it to protect you as well as them. Inside of that client onboarding workflow, consider definitely having some form of welcome package. Inside that welcome package, that needs to be automated, right? That's that post agreement type information. Make sure you have the reminders in there, that if they hadn't signed that agreement yet, something that'll go out that'll prompt them to, hey, we met yesterday, or we met 2 days ago, and you still hadn't signed the contract. I mean, we know you got to say it a little different, but you want to have those reminders, things to prompt the customer or the client to take the necessary action and go ahead and sign that contract so you guys can move forward and make things happen so you can help them grow their business. Also, inside of my workflows, the client onboarding workflow, I will always put in that initial consultation scheduling, aka my calendar, right? They may be part of a group, but I also will give them a way to schedule individualized time for me if that's part of my package. Consider that. Consider definitely implementing some type of online scheduling system that's going to be extremely helpful for you as well as them. And even inside of that, make sure that you set up some type of automatic or automated reminders, reminding them of the meeting, the upcoming meetings. This is going to minimize the no-shows, because we've all had the no-shows and we wanted people to show up, right? Well, all right, y'all. Hope that this has been helpful for you. Thanks so much for understanding. I don't know what happened. I'm still waiting to hear back from them. I understand it took place yesterday and today. We had to go ahead and take one of our recordings and put it in a system so you guys can have day 30. Now we are in, of course, day 31, and our topic of discussion for the Strategic Leadership Mastery Series today was Efficiency Unleashed, crafting workflows that work for consultants, coaches, and service providers. Again, my name is Danette Moss, Business Systems and Implementation Strategist, aka the Strategy Lady, and I hang out over at one of my favorite places, LetsTalkStrategies.com, where I work with those female CEOs. Y'all, I work with them to go from overwhelmed in their business to putting it on rinse and repeat. And I do this using my 4-step framework, the framework that has allowed me to take my business to the next level. And that is, I help them get their SaaS on. The framework literally means we simplify, automate, systematize, and streamline your business for sustainable growth. I'm all about helping you grow your business. If you'd like to stay connected with me and other female CEOs as you go on this journey, we love to have you join us over in the Get Your SaaS On community. And the way that you can join that is by going to GYSO community.letstalkstrategies.com. We'd love to have you over there. Thanks so much for joining me here on day 31 of the Strategic Leadership Mastery Series. And before we end this, I got to end it with giving you some sort of homework, aka call to action. I'd like for you to select at least one aspect of your business process and initiate or create some sort of automated workflow, whether it is a customer onboarding workflow or whether it deals with your financial, your payroll, how you're dealing with bringing in a team player. You take one of these major areas of your business process and go ahead and create an automated workflow. Do it within this week. I know it's Thursday. If you don't have time to finish it this week, let's not go past next week, right? Go ahead and create that. And I'd love for you to share your progress with us. When you share the progress, use the hashtag efficiency unleashed. Let's go ahead and let's build a community of efficiency driven consultants and service providers. Let's make it happen, lady. Let's make it happen. Again, this is Danette Moss, business systems and implementation strategist, aka the strategy lady. I'm looking forward to joining you on tomorrow. We'll be honored to have you there. And I just want to say this before we end. I'd like to say something a little creative. May your workflows be efficient and your process streamlined and your business thrive. All right. Stay tuned for more insights on optimizing your business. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Unless, tomorrow's Friday. That's going to be pre-recorded. So to still drop out at 6. Again, we had something going on with, Melon. So we had to go ahead and hop on over and use my StreamYard. So it looks like we're going to be using that. Thanks so much for joining me. You all take care. Have a good one. Oh, share this out with a female CEO that you know needs this. Take care.